Hey, what's up, my people? This your boy Venari Scott, the Killer Crane himself. This is not necessarily the Killer Crane speaks on. However, I am the Killer Crane, and I am speaking on this subject. Um, First of all, I want to say happy Sunday to everybody. For those of you who today who went to your various places of worship, your church, your synagogue, your mosque, your masjid. I hope you had a great day. I hope you learned a lot of stuff today. So, you guys, I love it when you guys send me messages and ask me questions and want to know a little bit about myself or anything pertaining to my circles. So, I have another Killer Queen Speaks on this Friday, and that's going to be on AI. However, excuse me, I just had a little late lunch. Um, Today I want to speak on something that a lot of you guys have been sending me messages about. Um, as you guys know, I was raised Christian growing up in the Delta area of Mississippi. Long story short, I converted to the Nation of Islam after leaving the army and the Iraq War. Um, I left the Nation of Islam and got into a more orthodox branch of Islam because I just felt that, long story short, the Nation of Islam just didn't conform to what I considered to be actually Orthodox Islam. And after a while, I um, conversed, I guess is the word, with many different religions and things of that nature. And I came to a conscientious decision to become an atheist. Now, when I first became an atheist, like a lot of atheists, I hate to use this term, but I was kind of like an angry atheist, so to speak. And it took me a while to kind of calm down. And I think a lot of people get that way when you're in a certain group or categorize yourself in a certain group. It makes yourself look or feel special to be in that group. So you kind of downplay the other group. So you I don't know, it just get human psychology or whatever. I guess it makes you feel extra special. You should just feel special being in that group, but to downplay another group makes you feel extra special. I don't know. I'm just kind of breaking it down. But excuse me, I no longer. I try not to do anti-religious stuff. Those of you who knew me, I had my Facebook posts and they were very anti-religious. I've kind of calmed down on that. However, people wanted to know, do I have any updated views on religions? Have I considered believing in God? Do I believe? And another person had a request. They wanted to know why I left the Nation of Islam, why I joined Islam, and stuff like that. I will be getting into that. Um, but as of right now, I'm just gonna kind of talk in general about my beliefs in the supernatural, quote unquote, I guess. Long story short, I'm not so much saying something doesn't exist. I'm not saying that God doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there's no spirituality or anything like that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. What I'm saying is I'm open. So if you have evidence, please show me. Of course, like I always say, study logical fallacies first because a lot of arguments that people have fall under a lot of logical fallacies, and a logical fallacy is an error in reasoning. Now, as far as me, people ask me would I like for there to be a God or an afterlife. Those are two separate things too, okay? If there is an afterlife and we get to see our loved ones after we die or whatever, that's totally different than a God doesn't have to exist for that to be the case, technically speaking. Okay. So just to get that straight. Okay. But as far as my beliefs in a deity, first thing you need to do is define what a deity or a God is and give specifics. Then you have to show how every nook and cranny of that argument is true. Because some people be like, well, God is the creator of the universe. Okay, well, first of all, show me that the universe is created. Okay. You can't just keep going. Well, God is the creator of the universe and He also, what was it? He created everything in existence, and he created mankind, and mankind is his greatest creation, and he loves mankind so much that he gave him all these laws and regulations and stuff to follow. And when we die, we go into this binary um, form of existence where if you followed according to these standards or guidelines that this deity gives you, you're going to a place called heaven that's perfect. Or if you don't, or if you're not in his favor, you go to this place of eternal punishment called hell. Um, those are several different claims. Each one of those have to be independently verified. Okay. So when you define God, first of all, you have to give me a definition of God and start piece by piece. What is your first characteristic of that God? Okay. Um, ambiguity is not a definition. So when I was in Islam, for example, they would give these 99 attributes of God or whatever. Each one of those are seriously ambiguous, and there's nothing I can do with it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you just have to give me something more concrete and more specific than just, let me see, okay, lovey-dovey feelings and stuff like that. By the way, if you guys are sending me a message, I'm on my phone outside of Walmart, so I mean, I might not get them. It might be a way I could check comments. Let me see. No, excuse me, I don't see them right now. And excuse me if I'm coughing or something. I just ate dinner and that's my acid reflux acting. So, anyway, as far as a belief in a god or gods or goddesses or anything supernatural, please give me the definition of what you mean. Okay. So, and a lot of people do this whole scare tactic thing to where the point is, where you better believe because there's a consequences for you dying and not believing in this deity because there's like I said, a binary existence. You either go to a place of eternal happiness called heaven, or you go to a place of eternal punishment called hell. You have to demonstrate that those places exist. That is a tall order. Okay, but those places existed. Okay, so I'm not saying they do or don't exist. And here's another thing, guys. A lot of people will say, well, you stopped believing in God because it was too complicated, for whatever reason. You didn't like the idea of God or whatever. Here's the thing. Let's just say if there's a meteorite coming toward Earth, and that meteorite is going to destroy all life on this planet or either make life very, very hectic for us, very difficult. I still want to know that. I don't like that idea. As a matter of fact, I hate that idea. But if you have evidence that the meteorite is coming, I will believe that the meteorite exists. Then we'll get into other stuff. So, as far as whether I like for something to exist or not, you have to, that's irrelevant. As a matter of fact, it can kind of muddy the water. So, if you want there to be a God because you think that it will protect you, or there's something in an afterlife if you believe in a God, you kind of muddy in the water, and you're gonna search for things to support that idea instead of working like a pyramid to where you find this piece of information, that piece of information, and you link that up to a definitive conclusion. Now you have a new point, and you have a new point over here, and that leads to a higher pyramid. So it seems like with religious people, they have all these ideas, and you're trying to find things to support a pre-biased opinion of what you want already, which is a bad way to do it. So, like I said, I'm not saying that a deity does not exist. I'm just saying, show me the evidence. Like, what was it, Jerry Maguire, show me the money. I'm saying, show me the evidence. Okay. And I'm not going to be hard headed or whatever. Like I said, I'm done with the angry atheist stage for the most. But anybody can make you angry if you get too, um, I guess, too angry about it, or you get to be an asshole about it. let's just say vegans or vegetarians, if there will just present the argument and say, hey, it's been shown that eating nothing but vegetables leads to healthier life, it adds years to your life. Let the evidence speak for itself. Don't get up there and be like, you're so wrong for eating meat and you guys are just gluttons and doing all of this. What's the word I'm looking for? Just ridiculing somebody. That is the wrong way to do it. And theists, that's one of the main things that if you want to convince an atheist, don't do that. Now, I do want to make this clear. I've said it before 100 times. An atheist is just one who does not currently accept a belief. Just because you don't accept doesn't mean that you reject. Okay? Just to let you know, it's always contingent. And I really don't like it when people keep saying where you're just agnostic. I hate that term because agnosticism is a term in epistemology that has to do with truth claims, whether some can be found true or not. Okay. So saying, oh, you're just an agnostic. Well, everybody's an agnostic because the idea or whether the belief in a God existing, it hasn't been proven yet. Okay. To my knowledge. Like I said, that's why I'm doing talks like this. Okay. So if you have evidence, let me know. You know, yeah, like I said, I will be doing another video on why I joined the Nation of Islam and what happened during there. And then I'll talk about, I think I pretty much talked about why I became an atheist a million times or how religion affected my early upbringing and things of that nature. Um, I think that's just about it. I did put the link in the description if you guys wanted to join in. Let me see if I got some comments. Let's see. Nope, I don't see any comments on here. What is dude on his bicycle? But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So if anybody asks, or curious, or what's your current belief in God, I still have not accepted a belief in God. Would I like for there to be an afterlife? Sure. And I know that many atheists, I'm gonna get on you guys too. Sometimes you guys can be assholes too, with the whole and you kind of know what the theist means. So if somebody says, I would like there for that to be an afterlife, and someone will say, well, that'd be terrible because you might have a child rapist or something next to you in this afterlife. Would you like to live forever with them? No. Number one, who says that you live in the same existence forever? And it could be an afterlife to where you're only around your spirit is connected to those who you truly love. You know what I'm saying? So, or what was that? Supernatural. I think it was that show Supernatural, where heaven is like your best memories or something like that. So heaven could be like that. It doesn't mean that you have to have this traditional Judeo-Christian. Well, I hate saying Judeo-Christian because technically speaking, Christianity and Islam have more in common than Christianity has with Judaism. I can get into an explanation about that as well. But it doesn't have to be this whole Christian aspect of heaven to where you die and you're in fields and the lion lays down with the lamb and all of this stuff and we're singing songs to God. By the way, if you read the Bible in the book of Revelations, I don't know what chapter and verse, I can get it later, but it says in the book of Revelations that if you go to the Christian heaven, you will be tilling the land for God. Okay? That means you're going to be a slave for God and work in his field. I don't know why God would need fields. And according to the Bible, there's no hunger or anything. So why the hell are you growing stuff? I don't know. It's just one of my just kind of wondering about that. And there's some other stuff about in heaven there'll be walls around heaven to keep people out. And I'm like, wait a minute, heaven, the whole thing of heaven and judgment day, You supposedly send all the bad people to hell. So what do you need walls for to keep people out? But that's just a little rant and rave. Um, Let me see if I can check Facebook comments. I think somebody left a comment for me on Facebook. Hold on 1 minute, guys. Hold on. Okay. So, nope, 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 no comments. Um, so if you guys have some evidence towards the belief in a deity, let me know. Preaching or please don't do the scare tactic. You know, the whole well, it says in the Bible, every knee shall bow. Okay, I mean, that's just in a book. It says it in a book. Great. You know, there are some other holy books that say something different. You know, and let me just make this clear as well. A lot of guys, and I made a video about this. A lot of guys come up to me and quote the whole Pascal's wager, and that was like, I just want you to think about this, okay? What if you're wrong? And they will say something like, well, if a God doesn't exist and you spend your whole life believing in him and going to church, you've lost nothing. When you die, you just put your body in the ground and nothing happens. But if God does exist, then you're in trouble because you didn't worship him and he's going to be pissed off and he's going to send you to hell. So it's a better gamble to just go ahead and believe in him. Now, there's a number of things wrong with that, saying that you wasted nothing by if God doesn't exist and you spend all your life spending time at church or preaching or whatever. Actually, you lost everything because if there is no God, no afterlife, that means you have one life to live. That's it. That means you have wasted that one life you have doing something that you normally wouldn't have. Because if there was no God that exists, you wouldn't go to church. You wouldn't be praying to him. There are other things in other religions that you probably wouldn't do. Certain rituals, certain things like um, if you have a homosexual couple and they want to be with their same sex partner, you know, a lot of religions tell them they can't do that. But, you know, these restrictions, because you're in that religion, keeps them from doing it. So they keep themselves from having a very happy life. Um, I say if God does exist, you're in trouble because you're taking a chance on, you know, you going to hell and stuff like that. Who say it? Okay, first of all, let me just say this. There is this thing called the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and it says that there is an afterlife, and in order to get to this favored by the gods in this afterlife, you have to do this and this and that and that. And don't do this, and your heart is weighed on the scale. So, according to that theory, then you need to follow the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Because what if you're wrong and you go to the Egyptian hell? And other religions, uh, look, hold on one moment. Making sure she was off. So, I'm sorry, guys. That was my daughter. She had interrupted. Like I said, I just wanted to do this podcast really quick. Um, so that's why I'm on my phone. I knew one of my children was going to call me, okay? And that wasn't even an emergency. She could have sent that in a text message. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Okay, so the Pascal's wager. So they say if you've lost nothing by what was I saying? Oh, if God doesn't exist and you spend your whole life in church and praying and stuff, you lost nothing. Yes, you've lost everything. You have actually lost everything because you only have one life and one life to live. Okay. You wasted it doing that. But if God does exist and they say that you don't spend your time worshiping him, you're in trouble. Like I said, what if you had the Egyptian religion is true, and you didn't spend your life worshiping that? You go to Egyptian hell, and there's a stipulation in Islam that says you have to do this or this or that or that. What if you're wrong and you spend your whole life doing the Christian thing? Then you go to Islamic hell. Y'all see where I'm going with this? So by that logic, you can't they can't all be right, but they can all be wrong, all these religions. You know what I'm saying? So and there's another that whole thing of you that's a Christian perspective where you have to get it right during this lifetime or you're going to have eternal punishment. That's only Christian. You know what I'm saying? There's certain religions that say that there's reincarnation, you know what I'm saying? And you get to be reborn and try again. Or it may be because certain Christians used to believe, I forgot what ancient sect it was, but it was one of the earliest Christian branches, and they actually said that um what did they say? Jesus died for all of our sins, right? So when God, a sin is pretty much not following the standards in which your religion says you must do. So if God says do something and you don't, that's a sin. If God says don't do it and you do it, that's a sin. So if God says you're supposed to worship Jesus or follow his standards and Jesus died for all of our sins, then everybody's getting to heaven pretty much because he died for our sins. He understands what you've done. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of people probably look at that crazy and be like, no, that means even child rapists and murderers would go to heaven. Well, I mean, that's Christianity says that as long as you believe that Jesus Christ is your personal Lord and Savior, you're going to heaven. So if he's on death row, this person who's been convicted of child raping and all that stuff like that, murdering, if he gets on the electric chair and he says, Jesus Christ, my personal Lord and Savior, he's going to heaven anyway. So there's that problem within the whole Jesus dying for your sins, no matter how you cut it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little rant and rave on my part. But I just wanted to get to this whole Pascal's wager. You know what I'm saying? Look up the problem with Pascal's wager. This isn't something new because a lot of people will sit up there and be like, "Oh, I just got this revelation" and stuff like that. You know, it's nothing new. As a matter of fact, that's a scare tactic that was just been used even in business practice. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a car salesman or something like that, or somebody selling you something, they'll be like, well, you better get it now because this is the last one. And you really need that. So you're going to go through a whole lot of hardships if you don't get this product that I'm selling right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's a scare tactic, you know. So pretty much it. Like I said, if you guys wanted to join in, the link is in the description. There's some other stuff. How long I've been on here? Like 23 minutes. Okay. I may stay on here for a couple of more minutes, seeing if we have any comments. That's pretty much it. In short, be cautious of the scare tactics. Okay. I think that's what's keeping a lot of people in religion. Is the idea that there's an afterlife, and if you die and don't follow the standards of that religion, you're going to hell. Okay. Now, there are some religions, and even the Catholic religion has said that to some point that even atheists might get into heaven before a lot of Christians might. You know what I'm saying? So believing in something, and what kind of God would fall for this little thing? You know what I'm saying? Like if you really don't believe in this religion or you don't like the standards in this religion, but you're doing it as a gamble. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't an all-knowing deity see through such a charade? I don't know. I just don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Um, so be cautious of these scare tactics, guys. That's what's keeping a lot of people in religion is scare tactics. I mean, a lot of people like it, and there's nothing wrong with that too. I want to say that too. A lot of people have invited me to their places of worship, and I said, "Well, I'll think about it." And when I don't show up, they'll say, "Oh, that's only because you're an atheist and you hate religion." No, it has nothing to do with that. A lot of people have invited me to a lot of places. Okay, so people have invited me to board meetings at different places. Like let's just say what's the police getting around here? So let's just say, give me 1 second. Okay, so somebody invited me to hold on 1 minute, guys. What's going on, Steven?
What's happening, Vanice? Long time no see, Cat.
I know, man. You taking me back to the Vegas.
Clark's Vegas. Oh, got more drugs running through there than Vegas.
I know, right, man? It's good to see you again, brother.
It's good to see you too, bro. Long time, man. It goes back to the days of Brian, me, and you, and Brent skipping school and going to Oxford.
Woo, yeah, we can talk about that now.
Yeah, I know, right? Couldn't talk about it back then. It was all hush hush, top secret. We're on a government mission, that kind of stuff.
Right. Some of that stuff we can't talk about because it might incriminate us in the future.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I don't think I can get any more incriminated than I've already been in my life. Believe me. I had the FBI got my phone about 2 weeks. Well, was it about 2 weeks ago? It was about a month ago. All that stuff all the stuff I'd been posting. Apparently, FBI don't like that stuff.
Who
knew?
Yeah, I can understand that. You know what I'm saying? But
what's the topic you got tonight?
Before the FBI shut us down before we start talking.
Well, what's the podcast topic tonight?
Well, this is just a random thing that I did. I'm talking about pretty much myself. I'm an atheist, and people have asked me my updated beliefs on God. Have I, recently accepted any beliefs in a deity at all, or any religious beliefs? And I'm just asking people, if they have any evidence or anything, and I'll just weigh out the evidence. But I just want to share my personal journey as far as how I got to where I am. So,
okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being atheist. I mean, you can believe in whatever you want. I mean, people shouldn't shun or judge anybody for what they believe or don't believe in. It's not, it's not like it's imperative to your life, your living life. I think most people, they find just faith is what it is. And a lot of people don't realize that's all, not religion itself is, that's all believing in any type of creator is just a faith, that a blind faith that he's there or she's there or whoever's out there is out there. And then, as far as that faith goes, faith can be in anything. You can put your faith in anything. You can put your faith in science. You can put your faith in a mystical man that sits in the clouds. You can put your faith in government. You can put your faith. I mean, faith is just, that's it. Faith. I mean, it's just a matter of what you believe in, what you're comfortable believing in. That, and science is, honestly, it's the same thing. It's just like, to me, science is just like religion, because in religion you don't know anything. It's a hypothesis, and you're going from old books and old studies where people have basically written down their ideologies and beliefs. Well, if you go back and look at science, it's the same thing to a degree. You have a hypothesis or theory. You test that hypothesis or theory, and then it's either going to be actual and work, or it's not going to work at all. So you basically bring a faith in. That's my daughter, by the way. She's deciding.
Oh, hey, Say hi.
Hi.
Oh, so precious.
That's my youngest, 3 years old, man. I thought I was done having kids 19 years ago or 18 years ago. Nope.
You a veteran at it, huh?
46 and a 3-year-old. Yeah, go figure that. But yeah,
keep me young though.
Give me a run for my money. How about that?
Oh yeah, I was on that one.
Well, how many you got?
I have altogether 5.
Okay, so you're not much off for me. I got 3, or had 3. My oldest, I don't know if you remember, but my oldest, you might not know, my oldest passed away back in 2021, January of 2021. So
I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's it. I appreciate that. It was he was a suicide. He wasn't all right in the head. He was struggling with a lot of things. But he I had 3 of them. Chris being my oldest, Gavin being my middle son, and now I got Aria as my daughter, my youngest child. So pain in the butts, but I love them. But so your personal perspective on God. I mean, what's your personal perspective on God? I mean, you don't have to believe in him, but I'm just curious as to what your personal perspective is.
Yeah, no problem. I first want to say, and nothing against what you said, and I appreciate the comments. Faith is a little bit different than what, because you were saying everybody has faith even in science. I would have to respectfully disagree because with
Okay.
science we have reasonable expectations based on prior knowledge, and faith is a little bit different, and it depends. It could be pseudo faith. A lot of people have blind faith where they 100% believe even though there's no evidence. But with science, it's more, and people have ridiculed and said, well, you have faith that a chair will hold you up, even though you sat in that chair 50 times. The 51st time, it may collapse. True. But based on prior knowledge of how a chair works, we think that if we expect it to hold us up. We're not saying that 100% it will. So there's a big difference between faith and reasonable expectations.
I can see
I
that.
will right. And so there might be some things that I have faith in, but like I said, a lot of times it's things I might hold a belief in something like a trusting somebody because I have reasonable expectations based on knowing them before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I do want to say there's a difference between a hypothesis and a theory. A hypothesis is an educated guess. The theory is like the highest respect. It's not, I'm not saying it's the truth or fact, but it has so much evidence that you know what I'm saying, like it's reasonable to believe, like gravity existing or something
Yeah.
like that, with germ theory. So as far as my belief in a God, like I said, the first thing anybody would have to give me a solid definition of what a God is. And I think I hate being redundant to anybody just watching, but give me a definition of what a God is, break it down characteristic by characteristic, and I would have to debate each point. Like with the Judeo Christians, they would say, or I hate the Judeo Christian, but they would say a God is this all powerful, all knowing being who created the universe ex nihilo from nothing. He created human beings and he loves human beings so much he gives them all these rules and guidelines to follow. And once we die, there's a binary existence of either heaven or hell. And it depends on how we were favored and how we follow these rules. Each one of those things has to be independently debated upon. You know, you
Yeah.
just can't say, well, there's a God, a creator God. So therefore, he created human beings. Therefore, he created rules for us to follow. You know, there's the demiurge that was created, I think it was a belief by Plato, the priest. No, after he came after Socrates. And he says that the demiurge is a creator god, but he's creating the reason why there's chaos in the universe is because there's all this stuff that's everywhere. And he's trying to formulate it and make order in the universe, but he can't. So that's why we have things like black holes and quasars and stuff like that. And he doesn't even know that human beings exist, the demiurge, because he's so grand. So it doesn't mean that if we have a creator God that he had to create human beings, you know. So each one of those things, I hate to be long-winded, but that's my point. Show me the definition, and then I'll debate you, or I hate that word debate, but I'll talk to you about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand that. That all y'all, your points are completely accurate. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's valid. I think what a lot of people have done over time, and especially with religion, now that we're in a more of a scientific community, we're more of a scientific knowledge, a scientifically based species now, that we have evolved past the need for religion or past the need for any of those explanations we used to use. Like, I think a lot of people used God as a way to explain things they couldn't understand, you know, using a higher power, a higher being, you know, gods and goddesses, finding ways to explain things that they couldn't, they couldn't scientifically prove back then because they didn't have the tools or they didn't have the knowledge or they didn't have the reasoning for it back then. So, nowadays, but I mean, just seeing like this time in America right now is very scary for me because what I see is I see a lot of people using the Judeo-Christian faith, what was started out as a faith that was supposed to be a loving faith. They've turned it into something that's just a bunch of animosity and hate. That's one of the things I can't stand. I don't even like to use the term Christian because all the people that call themselves Christians can't really call themselves Christians. They don't live up to the standard. And, like I say, if they want to be, if they want to be religious, that's fine. Take your religion somewhere else. I don't care to hear about your religion. Religion isn't something I care to even fathom or think about because no religion has hit the nail on the head just yet. I think if people did though what was spelled out for them in the New Testament, see that's where we have a lot of problems. We have an Old Testament and we have a New Testament. So we have these two different gods that are brought before us. We have this one that's vengeful, will smite you, and then we have this other one that in the New Testament is loving, forgiving, cares about you. So which one is it? Which one is the God that we're supposed to worship? Which one is the God we're supposed to know? And then, you have a Messiah that was supposedly come down here. And he's telling people, God's always been this loving God. He's always been this caring God. And he cares about you and loves you. He just wants you to do two simple things. Love him with all your heart, which, if you want to believe in, a God, that's a good way to go. You'd have to love your deity with all your heart. I mean, that would be almost a requirement in any religious aspect. And then the second commandment that he gave was to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, I don't see a whole lot of Christians doing that, period. Not hardly. I mean, if you were to take 1 out of a million, you might hit 1 out of a million that actually does or follows that commandment of love your neighbor as you love yourself. But then again, once again, do you have to have religion to do that? No. Do you have to have a deity or a God to do that? No. You just need to be but you just need to be a human being of the human species and realize, okay, we're all the human species. We're the top of the line species on this planet. We can build, we can trade, we can hunt, we can gather. There's no end to our potential as a species. I guess I'm just rambling on now because my daughter's fixing to throw me out. But hey, Vinaris, I'm going to get on your next podcast when I don't have her.
Okay, and anytime you want to do a random podcast, I can make time. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I can see she's busy. That's a great thing, man. I love hearing children playing, and that means she's healthy and everything, man. So I'm proud of you, brother. You're doing a great job.
I love you too, brother. I'm proud of you. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. You take care of that family, brother.
Hi, you too. I'll talk to you later, Bernard. Love you, bro. Bye.
I love you too, brother. All right. Thank you, Stephen, for joining. Ooh, I've been in that thing. I will say some things in response to what Stephen said, which is kind of the reason why I don't accept like the Bible per se. I'm not saying that because the Bible, I don't accept the Bible, that there's no God. But some things that he said, like the Old Testament was a vengeful God, and I was going to bring up some stuff, but people would say that's the Old Testament. And he said when Jesus came, he did away with the Old Testament. Wrong. Jesus said specifically in Matthew 5, verse 17 through 20, that do not do away with the old laws, keep them 100%. And if anybody says one jot or changes one jot and tittle least in the law of Moses, you'll be least in the kingdom of heaven. So he said you're supposed to, he even gives an example that says like, if you cheat on your wife, it's called adultery. But I say if you even look at a woman with lust in your heart, then that's the adultery. So he's not taking away anything. He's just adding to what's already there in the Old Testament. Now, if you keep the Old Testament, it says some really weird crap. It says, let me see some stuff. I always bring this up where it says that if a man rapes a woman, he is forced to marry that woman and give her father's 50 shekels of silver, and they cannot be divorced for the rest of their lives. That is the worst thing that anybody can ever do or even say. I don't care what time period you're in. A woman is raped, and you're saying the standard is for that woman to look at her rapist in the face and marry that rapist, that immoral son of a bitch? No, that is the worst thing that anybody could ever say. And it says something like, Old Testament laws where if a woman's husband is getting his ass beat and the woman comes over and grabs the man's testicles as a self-defense mechanism, she is to have that hand chopped off. So, according to Jesus, you're supposed to keep all those laws and add his on there. Jesus also says stuff like, those who not believe in me are like withered branches and they should be thrown into the fire. And people say Jesus came to bring peace, but he specifically says, I believe in the book of Luke, think not that I've come to bring peace. I have come not to bring peace, but with a sword. A sword is a violent weapon. Okay, so for the everybody who thinks that Jesus came to bring peace, no. Even if he was using that as a euphemism or metaphorical, you could have thought of something better than that. I'm sorry, you could have thought of something better. I could think of something better, and I'm not a deity or demigod or God incarnate. But according to Jesus, he used that. So, um, I just don't see peace and loving in the New Testament. And the whole idea of, I hate to be anti Christian or whatever, but, the whole idea of dying for our sins, what sins? Oh, the first man and woman ate some magical fruit that a talking snake told them to eat. Really? You punishing a whole group that wasn't there because the first man and woman who ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they didn't know that they were doing anything wrong. So it was a magical being said, don't eat it. And then a magical snake came and said, you can eat it. And he made it easily accessible. And any parent knows that if you tell a child not to do something, that's the first thing they're going to do. If you put it in an easable, accessible place, he didn't put the tree with the fruit in it on the mountains of Mordor with lava coming down and sharp rocks. No, he put it right there in the middle, made it extra tempting, which makes him the God of the Bible even worse, if you ask me. He makes him even more immoral. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't do stuff like that. Plus, the whole idea of punishing all the descendants of something you supposedly loved for one act, eating fruit. Come on now, really? I mean, but that's just my thing. You know what I'm saying? But like he was saying, you don't need to be religious in order to know right from wrong. To me, and yeah, what was he saying? And I'm not ridiculing you, Stephen. I'm not, okay? And I appreciate the comments. I'm just responding because I think that other people have this perspective too. And they say, well, the first rule is love God. No, I can't. Not the Judeo Christian one. There might be another one. But even if a person were to say, I believe this deity exists, but F that deity, I don't care for him. He's terrible. It's just like, I've seen police officers, black police officers who had to maintain law and order during the Ku Klux Klan rally. And they were shouting, the Ku Klux Klan members were shouting, obscenities and, black people are inferior to white people, but the cops still had to do what they had to do. So even though those Ku Klux Klanmen don't love that black cop at all, the cop still had to do its job. You know what I'm saying? Maintain order. That's what a person who really does loves his job and loves what he has to do and knows his purpose. He doesn't care about getting praise. I mean, that's a really weird thing that an almighty deity needs something, a human flaw like that. It needs praise. You should do good because you know it's good and that's its reward right there. And shouldn't get mad at somebody even if they curse you out. But I mean, if you're a deity. um, then it says, "Do unto others, you have them do unto you." That's To me, that's a flawed system. I understand what they're saying, but they are taking the best parts of that argument You know, let's just say if there's, I brought this to one dude's attention when he asked me. I was like, nothing against homosexuals, but I was like, "Are you a homosexual man?" He was like, "No, I think that's a sin." And I said, "What if that homosexual man? There's a homosexual man. He comes up to you and he's like, I think you're so attractive. I would love for him to, you know, do certain sexual acts to me." So he forces the homosexual act on the man. And I was like, "Has he done anything wrong?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No, he hasn't. According to Golden Rule, it says, 'Do unto others as you want them to do unto you.'" So that's why, like the Golden Rule is flawed. It basically says, whatever I like, you should like too. So I'm going to pretty much force or do something, because I know you're going to like it as well, which is not the case. Okay. So everybody has different perspectives. And I know blindly, um, everybody has a problem with a lot of stuff. I understand that. I've been on dates with women, a number of women, and they have gotten mad at me for opening the door for them. That perpetuates the stereotype that all women are weaker than men, and they've actually ridiculed me for that. But sometimes it was a blind thing that I did that I thought was right. You know what I'm saying? But like when you invite somebody over your house or something like that, do a little research on them. You know what I'm saying? Try to find out if they have any dietary restrictions, if they're from a certain culture and they don't like it when you do something. You know what I'm saying? So, that just shows, I'm a human being and I can figure out flaws in that. But supposedly there was supposed to be this deity that created this rule, and it's supposed to be the greatest rule that ever existed. And he couldn't find flaws in that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that there has ever been a system that I 100% think is perfect. The best I can think of is do what you want to do as long as it does not impede on the well being of another individual. Okay? So, and a lot of people be like, well, what if somebody wanted to murder another person? Well, you're messing with the well being of another individual. That person doesn't want to die, but you're killing them. So, you know, oh, what if a person wanted to rape another person? Well, the person being raped doesn't want to be raped. You know what I'm saying? So you're interfering with the well-being of another individual. Okay. Are there some times where there's exception to that? Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Um, well, if somebody's smoking, let's just say in a building or something like that. Hold on, guys. Let me let this dude pass by. Sometimes I get suspicious people walk too close to my door. Um, okay, he's in this car. But anyway, so let's just say, oh, I bought this example as well. People be like, well, what if somebody wants to smoke a carton of cigarettes a day? Well, there's a difference between healthy and unhealthy and morality and immorality. You know what I'm saying? Morality, if you look it up in the dictionary, it's standards that are in a society, that we create in a society. A society usually, under most definitions, cannot be just one person. A society has to be at least, it's actually a bunch of people, but it has to be at least two or more people. So if you're by yourself and you're smoking a carton of cigarettes, it's unhealthy, but I don't think it's immoral. You know what I'm saying? You're not impeding on the well-being of another person. Now, if you have children in the house and you're smoking and they're catching secondhand smoke, okay, well, you're involving another person in that scenario. But if you're by yourself, then that's fine. That's your business. You know what I'm saying? And that's about the best we can do. Um, I think that's about it. I've been on here for almost 50 minutes. But for those of you who are watching or will be watching this in the future, I appreciate it. Just wanted to get this off my chest. I appreciate those who have been sending me messages, who have been talking to me on the streets and wanted to know my perspective on this. So I've been talking for about 50 minutes, but guys, this is just the top of the whatever, the cream of the crop or whatever. There's a lot of I can go into it a lot deeper, pretty much. Um, Let me think. I will be doing a video on why I joined the Nation of Islam, why I left religion altogether, all of these things. But feel free to leave comments below. If you have any comments on anything else, like what's my perspective on zodiac or spirituality, the afterlife. Like I said, just because there's an afterlife does not mean that there has to be a deity. Okay, so we can talk about stuff like that. This Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we will be having another podcast. Okay, this is just something random. On this Saturday, we will be talking about. I'm sorry, this Friday we'll be talking about AI and androids. Like androids, could they one day become so human-like and independent? Could we extend them the same liberties that we extend biological human beings? And if you like, and if you have time, watch the Star Trek episode, Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, "Measure of a Man." And this is where, how can I explain this? There's an android on the Enterprise, and his name is Data, Lieutenant Commander Data. And another officer comes and he says, "Look, what I need to do is take you back to Starfleet, and we need to reverse engineer you so we can make a whole bunch of you because you're unique. Because you're Dr. I think it was created by Dr. Soames, or I forgot what his name was. I think that's his name. But he died, so they want to reverse engineer him. And he's like, I'm an individual. I don't want to die. I want to stay alive and just keep doing what I'm doing on the Enterprise. And there was a whole court case to whether he was an actual human being. Well, should he be treated as a human being? Should he be treated as an individual? You know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about AI. Is it going to take us over? How many years? Is it going to take away a lot of our jobs? We're going to talk about all of those. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, Stephen, again for joining. If it was a little loud up in here, like I said, I'm finna go shopping at Walmart right now. I just had to get that off my chest real quick because if I went home, I would have been distracted by a number of things on my to-do list. So I was like, let me just get it out the way. So I appreciate you guys for watching. All right, guys, take it easy. Bye bye.